12 years. And we joined hands on a lot of wonderful projects. In fact, Tom sat right behind me in the Senate, and so we had a lot of nice exchanges, occasional humorous remark or two, and we had a good time. Tom's a consummate gentleman. I think in all the time I served with him, I never saw him get angry at anyone. He just was always sort of one of those great legislators and carried a lot of bills. And he was also our fitness guru. He was the one that kept encouraging us to run and bicycle and do all those good things. And he did it not by so much his preaching as by his example. In fact, I even remember one time you were out running and a bee got down into your throat and you had to go to the emergency room. But he kept running, and and speaking of running, he ran very successfully, not only in his own district, but he ran statewide and was elected as our superintendent of public instruction. So, Tom, it's great to have you and your two colleagues here today.
Well, thank you so much. I'm delighted to be back. President, Board of Governors, and my good friend Jack Scott. It is really delightful to be back, and a lot of work has gone forward since we met in January, and I'm pleased to see the progress. We have a lot at risk, a lot to work on, but I'm confident that with the kind of cooperation, the kind of sharing and partnership that you have led, Jack Scott and Scott Himmelstein, we will get to the right place to meet our goals. So I'm very delighted to be here. Jack, of course, is a great storyteller. I love listening to Jack's stories and a rich history, and we share a lot of reading material. So I've actually just been reading another author, 10 books, historical novels, that I'll have to do some exchange with Jack. And he is a bicyclist, you know, too. He's fit in all-round capacity, and he's out there. I see him often on the trails in the morning early on the American River Parkway. But we have trails to travel together here in this partnership. Really pleased to be here and was asked to address two key issues, speaking to how we can build an even more seamless transition between K-12 and our community college. So how do we articulate more what we're doing together to prepare students for career and college? We were just talking with Member McDougall about that keen emphasis that is now embedded in the new national standards for K-12 schools, and which you're embracing. I understood you've just had a good and robust discussion. Commend the efforts of this board and your team to look at the issues of student success and how we can have more college and career readiness coming from our schools. And, of course, the other issue that Jack asked me to comment on was the Common Core implementation. How do we get there with freezes on textbook spending, flex in a number of areas that are challenging, to how do we advance the Common Core standards at a time of very, very tight budgets. And, of course, of the joint issues we have to work on together, convincing the public even more so of the value of the services we're providing. You're reaching 2.75 million children. In the K-12 system, we're reaching 6.25 million children. The voters, however, of California, see if you know the answer to this question, what percent of the voters of California do not have children in the K-12 schools? Pretty big percent. It's 70%. Yeah. So they don't know the cuts that have occurred. They are not aware of some of the overcrowding, the lack of new digital material or computers to read the digital material or have the exciting, engaging kind of use of technology that I know our students appreciate when they have the chance to do it. So we have a daunting challenge, I think, at all levels, reaching to the voters and sharing with them the great successes that are occurring despite budget cuts, the progress that's being made, and convincing them it is the right thing to do to invest in this great community college system, one of the greatest systems anywhere in the country or the world that we have here in California, and to invest in our K-12 schools. And so we have those daunting challenges of a quarter of our children in the K-12, that 6.2 million children, a quarter of them are growing up in poverty. A quarter of them need subsidies to help with their lunch. A quarter of them need health care. And by the way, those needing health care and those needing the lunch assistance jumped by 500,000 students. So 1.5 million students do not have health care. That jumped because of the recession and the budget cutbacks of recent years. 1 in 5 of our K-12 students grow up in homes where the parents don't have a high school degree. 1 in 4 of our students grow up in an English learner household. So we have these kind of diversity of needs and depth of needs, and yet we have a system that is shaping with your direction in student success, and a document that we put forward with a team effort and a task force of education and business experts. It's called the Blueprint for Great Schools. I think we know how to get there. We know the right goals. You're setting them out for the community colleges. We're setting them out for K-12. We know we need to articulate and work very closely together. We know we need more money. You've suffered great losses in the past few years, doubling of your fees. K-12 has lost about $18 billion in the last 4 years, about 20 to 25% of the funding in the K-12 system. So we need, as we are doing, working together to convince the legislature and the governor to protect our funding and to convince the public that it's time to invest again in education and set it at a higher priority with higher funding. We know at the same time we face the daunting challenge of having more students prepared for the jobs of the new economy. We know that 80% of the jobs in the new economy are going to require STEM, going to require technical, science, math backgrounds, solid backgrounds to enable our students to fill the needs of the new economy jobs and to have the prosperity and good things that come with having those jobs. And we know that if we don't change course and enact the kinds of goals and kinds of action steps that are outlined in our Blueprint for Great Schools, K-12, and your plans, we would be short 1 million college-educated students by the year 2025. You know these numbers as well as I do, but I think it's important just to emphasize that that's a challenge there, to have more of our students be career-ready and college-ready so they can go right forward, and you're a key bridge to that success. The Blueprint for Great Schools, I'll just touch on lightly. I appreciate Chancellor Scott's being part of our effort. We talk a lot about 21st century learning, moving more to problem solving, critical thinking, teamwork, good communication skills, good research skills, good in-depth, high-quality use of our technology to enable our students to learn less of the sage on the stage, disseminating facts out and taking multiple choice tests to see if you memorized a lot of facts, but more of that kind of critical thinking. And of course, we're making some major initiatives on STEM education. We had one STEM summit just recently at UC Davis. We're planning another major summit to assess where we are and to do some pilot programs to how to build a greater capacity for science, mathematics, and technical education courses, and how do we have a renaissance, basically, of the sciences in our schools that will prepare young people for your college courses and then on to higher education for those ready and wanting to go that direction. We also, in the Blueprint, call for specific steps, and Jack's hand here is seen, but it was the consensus of the business leaders and education leaders that we needed to take specific steps for encouraging the work of K-12 with those of higher education, aligning assessments not just for K-12 accountability, but also for college admission and placement. And so I'll have Pat Ainsworth and Deb Sigmund talk a little bit more about that. Designing and implementing a K-20 data system, data warehouse to link CalPads with databases from the community colleges to track student degree completion and workforce success. And then, of course, Deb will be delving into more specifically the Common Core Standards implementation process. Again, I wanted to commend your efforts with the report you have. We're looking forward to commenting and interacting with you further on that. There are two ideas for consideration that I wanted to share. First is removing regulatory and fiscal barriers to dual enrollment. We've talked about this before. I've had individual conversations with many of you as Board of Governor members. We think this is great. I know a number of schools in California are moving to have students be able, as they would complete all their high school requirements in their junior year, their senior year. They could take additional courses at community college, be on their way to their AA, get the important lower division work accomplished. It's a great idea for students to be able to move along more quickly and for their families to have, instead of a 5-year college bill and 5-year college duration, something much shorter. So I would, again, want to work with you, President Scott, and with Chancellor Jack to accomplish that goal. The second area is working to strengthen and improve the alignment of career technical education programs. The partnership academies that we have worked on have been very successful. The graduation rate is extremely high. The dropout rate is extremely low. A lot of that work comes from a bill that Senator Jack Scott did, Senate Bill 70, which said, let's talk to our employers. Let's find out what their needs are. Let's re-gear our systems. And community colleges, I know as an adjunct faculty member at Community College, Los Medanos College, and I know just from watching your track record, you're very nimble and you're very able to design courses and work with business to be responsive, and that is indeed what we need. The Partnership Academies funding is somewhat threatened right now. We have 500 wonderful programs in place where businesses provide internships and provide expert personnel to come to schools to help teach and help excite students about the real-world opportunities out there. But 200 of those partnership academies are due to sunset, due to budget constraints at the end of this year. And we're hoping, of course, that we'll continue to have the funding for the Green Academies, the Green Partnership Academies that Senator Steinberg pioneered. So working together, we're going to be able to address these issues. I would like Pat to talk a little bit more about the career technical education and other seamless areas where we can work together. The round table, we've reinstituted some of the meetings and appreciate Jack Scott being there and Eric Skinner being there. We are working on both the finances, how to get the fair share of the budget we need and how to grow that fair share by going to the voters. And we are looking at the idea, I propose that we have a joint presentation to the legislature of the Chancellor of the Community College, of President Udoff, of Chancellor Reed, of myself, to give a report in joint session of the Assembly and Senate as to the good work we're doing and the challenges we see and the need for help that we see. And so that hopefully will be coming up early in the new year. I want to talk to you more about that. But Pat, at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Pat Ainsworth, who is Division Director of a lot of these areas that we've been talking about.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. Let me just say a few things. The whole issue of this seamless transition, that's been talked about for probably 10 years. And I would submit that parents and the public expect that we have seamless transitions. But we still haven't gotten there in terms of how do we make sure a student has a pathway, a program of study that moves from one system to the other. And that's extremely complex because we live in two different worlds and two different cultures and all different needs out there for students. So there are some things I think we need to do together, and this has implications for our funding. And the first is we need to have good student plans. When students have good plans coming out of high school, when they have a sense of what their career goal is and what steps it's going to take, they're more likely to get to the end point. And so we actually are working on that on our side, and we've been working together with community colleges on this. I mean, the work with the Academic Senate on articulation of courses is really good work. We need to make sure that those are implemented locally, and that's a big challenge for us. In terms of funding, we have some collaboratives out there between K-12 and community colleges. We need to say, how well are they doing at making sure that there are programs of study that have been created jointly between K-12 and community college faculty, both academic and career, that lead students to higher outcomes. I think in the terms of the funding, SB 70, of course, will be due to expire pretty soon. We're both challenged to work together on how do we keep that funding going, because it really has created a lifeline for career technical education in both segments. but also our Carl Perkins funding, our federal funding. We've been cut about 15% at the federal level. Our National Association of State Directors has taken a very aggressive stance on this, and in fact, I'm happy to report that both houses of Congress have us flat funded for now, which means we aren't cut, which is a huge step forward. I think people are starting to realize that the Perkins funding are key to the country's job agenda. From that point of view, I think part of the seamlessness needs to be at the state level. What are our economic development goals? And what are we going to do as a state, together with the governor's new Office of Economic Development, together to make sure we create a pipeline, not just solve the existing jobs program, but the long-term jobs program, create those ladders to success. And the other thing I think we need, and Tom mentioned it, but it's a data system, a longitudinal data system, so we can better research what works in making and helping students along that track. I'm happy to report that we're working on another application. Our systems have taken joint efforts together to create memoranda of understanding between all of the partners. I think we're better positioned this time. We will be submitting an application for the latest round of funding to create this data system, and I'm hoping we can get there. The data system not only describes the P20 linkage, but also interfaces with EDD and the employment data that we can really say what happens to our students. One last comment. When Tom came into office, the language was always college and career readiness. And from the first day in office, Tom's team were talking about career and college readiness. And the sense has been that isn't college a part of career readiness? Isn't it part of that continuum of career readiness? It's really a means towards an end. And so I think that's really changed. It's been noticed nationally that our state has taken a lead in saying that we need students to go to college, whatever that is, advanced training, to make sure they get the higher outcomes. But there's a destination of a career at the end. So I think I also want to say that your recent appointment of the new Vice Chancellor, Vaughn, has brought new energy in the career tech ed area. We've seen new opportunities to work together, and I can't tell you how that has changed the relationships at the staff level. And I think that's going to pay big dividends across both of our systems. So.
Thank you, Pat. And Deb Sigma, is a branch chief for a very important branch that deals with the implementation of core standards and data systems.
Thank you, Superintendent. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I did want to give you an update on our work together as we move forward towards transitioning to the Common Core state standards. And if there was ever an opportunity for us to do joint work and to actually move toward that seamless transition, I think the Common Core presents itself in that way. The department has been working since the adoption of the Common Core. The State Board of Education adopted the Common Core in August. And we have been working despite some challenges for us, not the least of which is that there is a prohibition on the board and the department from moving toward new textbooks, having a textbook adoption. So that is a challenge for us that the superintendent is very mindful of, and so we're trying to work through that legislatively. We did have some legislation passed this year, AB 250, sponsored by Assemblymember Brownlee, authored by Assemblymember Brownlee, sponsored by the superintendent, to move forward with curriculum frameworks so that we can update our frameworks in terms of the Common Core around English, language arts, and math. So we look forward to working on that, as well as doing some supplemental bridge materials for our folks in districts that have our prior adoptions, but looking at providing some supplemental materials so that they can bridge that gap. we are working with many of your staff, Sonia Ortiz Mercado, as well as Linda Michalowski, Eric Skinner, and Patrick Perry. All attended a meeting that we held to make sure that the community college staff, as well as UC, as well as CSU, were updated on our implementation of the Common Core standards, as well as the implementation of a new assessment system. The state of California, with a joint MOU between the superintendent and the governor and State Board President Kirst, decided in June of this year that California would be a governing state with the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium. We think that that is another prime opportunity for us to work with the community colleges as we move forward to a new assessment system that we are very hopeful that gets to some of those skills around college and career readiness that are not particularly doable with a multiple choice test. So we look forward into moving forward in that new assessment system. We currently are participating in a state national collaborative around implementation of Common Core. As you know, about 45 states adopted the Common Core, and so this is work that we hope to be able to learn from our state partners and how they are transitioning to the Common Core in terms of curriculum, professional learning, assessment, and accountability systems. And we have the good fortune to be partnering with your community college staff in that effort. And so we will be traveling to San Diego next month to work with our state board executive director, myself, and Sonia Ortiz Mercado, and CSU representative and Patrick Ainsworth, to really talk about how we can transition our Common Core standards between our K-12 and our community colleges. As you know, many of your colleges voluntarily participate in the early assessment program, and that has been very successful. That was a joint effort between CDE and the board and the CSU system. The community colleges have embraced that, and we want to make sure that continues, and that's another opportunity for us to work together to make sure that we transition the Common Core seamlessly, that we provide an assessment system that can continue to do the work that the early assessment program now does. So we believe this is an opportunity, really an unprecedented opportunity for us to work with you as we move forward to make that transition, that seamless transition for students.
Thank you, Deb. And one footnote to that good report is we're also working on the science standards, on the national science standards. And I applied that California should be considered, and we're one of 20 lead states. We're putting together a committee that will be interacting with the draft of those standards, and we want to have representation. We'll invite representation from the community college board here and any experts you want to have in your science curriculum area that could help us review those standards that are nearly ready to send out for comment and review. And of course, that will be another major effort that'll help us align career readiness and college readiness and looking at what do we need in terms of science that's different than 10 or 15 years ago when we last went through the standards development. So we're here to answer questions, so glad to be here to be partnering with you, and thank you, President.
Great. Thank you. Board members, comments or questions? Member Izumi.
First of all, I want to thank Superintendent and his team, for coming here. I know that I've had the pleasure of working with, the superintendent and the department, and also especially with Patrick Ainsworth on our joint committee on career and technical education. So, it's been a great pleasure to work with your team, Superintendent.
Great.
And so thank you for taking the time to come with us and talk to us and talk about these important issues. I just wanted to ask a real quick question. It's probably more directed to Deb, I think. About the Common Core. I think I had read someplace that I think it was EdSource had said that the implementation costs of Common Core in California was somewhere around 1.6 billion or something like that. Is that a figure that I think included professional retraining and that sort of thing? Is that a ballpark figure?
Oh, well, I can't comment on an actual figure. I don't know that we have looked at that. I mean, there would be costs, obviously, but we believe that obviously the purchase of materials would be a cost to the locals. The assessment system, we believe that there's an increased cost because of the technology aspect of it. Both of the assessment consortia were required to have technology platforms in order to deliver the assessment. So that's a possible cost as well. And certainly around professional development, that doesn't come for free. But the good news is, and I think it's important to share this with you, as we go out around the state building awareness and disseminating information to our locals, the good news is that to a person, everyone is very excited about the movement to the Common Core. They believe that this is the next step in making sure that our students achieve and that the outcomes are better for all students. And so there is a willingness, I would say, to try to get PD out there that perhaps is viewed in a different way. So we're looking at developing modules. 250 charges us to go forward and do that. And we're working with our partners across the state to be able to think about what are the delivery modes that would be most usable for you. So developing those modules so that they could be delivered. So we're very mindful of trying to keep that cost down, recognizing the fiscal barriers that we all face.
Thank you very much.
And I'll add, if I may, Mr. President, just two other parts, or to emphasize something that Deb just said, that there are supplemental materials that the department is reviewing to align to the new standards, so that the curriculum companies, the publishers are aware of the need and are developing the materials. We're going to go through and clear the ones that do align and show how they meet each of the strands of the standards as we go forward. The other big thing that we're doing as part of being with Smarter Balance, Deb mentioned this, the new national assessment system, is we're going to be doing an inventory of what our technology capacity is in our schools. And I think the price tag is significant. We're going to wait to cost it out. But I believe one of the biggest game changers we have, and you already require your students to come with an internet connecting device of some kind to your campuses and to be able to do a lot of communication and learning digitally. But the need to get computers to every student in every class, to have computers available after school hours, as we are pressed with larger class sizes, shorter school years, the computer access to information is amazing. So we have an initiative we're calling No Child Left Offline. It's one of our initiatives here to get to that place. So whether it's $500 million or $1 billion, whatever the cost is, we need to get there. We need to figure it out. And that's going to be one of the ways we'll be able to implement the new curriculum. Instead of textbooks the day they're issued being 5 years out of date and not be able to be changed, the digital offers, again, such a nimble way of updating and keeping current.
Chancellor Scott, followed by Member Baca.
Well, thanks for updating us. We're very excited about what you're doing. In fact, I'll tell you, our Student Success Task Force, we've just come out with 22 recommendations, and the very first recommendation is a closer alignment between high school teachers and community college teachers. We know sometimes there's been a slight disconnect, and so we realize that by indicating the community college teachers, indicating a little bit of what they expect when the students get there, and the high school teachers in turn sharing with community college people something of their challenges and so forth, we're going to do everything we can to bring the two systems closer together. I'm going to ask Tom a question because it's one that he and I are on the same page, and that is how much closer are we to a longitudinal data system? And is there any way in which we can be helpful to you? Because you and I both recognize that to have that kind of information would help all of your teachers and would certainly assist our teachers as well.
Absolutely, and we are in total agreement on the need for that. And the good news is we have worked with the contractor who is implementing the CalPAD system, IBM. We're still working through to make sure every day, every week that we're meeting the targets and goals for implementing that. We believe that we now have a much more effective system. For instance, the measurement of dropout rates and graduation rates was much more accurate this year, the first time we really had more reliable numbers in that regard. And so it's hugely diagnostic, hugely helpful to point us as to where our efforts, K-12, where your efforts, community college, are going to help students. We, had some concern that Governor Brown expressed. He did sign the funding for the continuation of the CalPADS system. I think we have some issues to continue to work out with the administration on a combination of what the state is to be used for and privacy issues, but I believe we can work those out. I certainly am with you in saying we need to have it all the way through to, past degree, past AA, past Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science degrees. I could ask Deb or Pat if you want to comment in any more detail to the Chancellor's request.
Just to say that to confirm, CalPADS is up and running, and we are using it. We reported, as the superintendent said, dropout with using CalPADS, so we're very happy about that. There's additional work to be done, especially around P20, and our folks are working with your folks to ensure that happens. The grant, the I3 grant that we're applying for, hopefully that will provide us some money to move forward as well. So.
Well, we'll join forces with you in either talking to the governor's office or talking to any legislators, because we are marching shoulder to shoulder with you on this issue. We recognize how valuable it'll be to K through 12, but it'll also be extremely valuable to community colleges.
We need to work together. We need your help, and I think it also will impress those reviewing grant applications that we are working together, and that makes a big difference.
Okay. Member Baca, I know the superintendent's got to leave fairly quickly.
All right, well, very quick question. Superintendent, thanks to the three of you for being here. And we're very fortunate that you and the Chancellor have such a close working relationship, and I think that provides a lot of optimism for us to be able to work in the coming year. Just very quickly, you mentioned 70% of the state. Is that the adult population, or were you referring to voters? Or?
Just the voters. If you look at the people who actually come out and vote, 70% don't have children in our K-12 schools. I'm trying to get a comparable number, by the way, for our 2.75 million community college, how many parents that connects us to, or how many voters that connects us to. But it's a pretty startling number when you think about it.
It is. Yeah. I was wondering if maybe briefly you could give us your thoughts on adult schools and.
Wow, we're in a world of hurt there in terms of the, flex resulted in the dismantling of a lot of excellent programs that for many years provided skills to, basic skills on technology, basic skills and learning the English language, being able to be, ready for work. So it's been disheartening to see that as a consequence of these budget crises, and there's an impact. Your Chancellor's reminded me continually, and we're sort of fretting about and figuring out how to deal with it, the impact of those students who can't get the courses they need in an adult ed school. They're joining the students who can't at UC or CSU get the courses they need, and they're all coming to community college saying help. And, it's a big additional need that's been developed by the shrinkage of those adult ed courses. So it's a serious issue that we are going to continue to work with you to address, and remind the legislature and the governor that there are hundreds of thousands of students in districts like Los Angeles that are adult education students that need the continuation of those services.
Okay. Thank you all very much for coming. I will take the last word, though.
Yes, please.
In that, Superintendent, this is something that you and I have talked about, and our board has identified as a goal, and I think we're on the same page when you talked about trying to figure out and or eliminate the budgetary and the regulatory issues around concurrent enrollment or dual in enrollment. And I would like to propose at some time, we obviously know there are huge fiscal issues and other issues here, but that doesn't give us the excuse to say, why can't we sit down and figure out what the formulas could be if there was a time that we could accommodate more dual enrollment. So at some time, I'd like to propose that, with you, that we take a look at that.
Well, let's just say right now, let's commit to doing a working group together, because I've actually talked to a number of superintendents who are about to launch projects. One I just met in San Bernardino yesterday, San Bernardino County, that is wanting to launch something that their goal is to have every one of their high school graduates have 1 or 2 years of community college under their belt, and hopefully the AA in hand. So we need to really work this through, because I think it's a winner for the public. They see that as smart. They see that as an efficient use of resources, and we just got to figure out how to get over the turf regulatory budget issues to get there.
Understand. Well, I will take you up on that and contact your able staff here and
get a working group to really focus on that.
Would be great.
I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chancellor Michalowski, our guests are going to be here at noon, correct? Okay. So we've got about 15 minutes here, members. I'm wondering if we might start in on our board member reports, if we could, and let's start with Member Baca.
Well, I made comments yesterday about the Student Success Task Force, and I have been busy, as most of the task force members have been, on going around and listening in on comments from the field. And it's very important for us to, of course, take those comments, and we'll be working on them tomorrow and in the preceding weeks. But did attend the Chief Student Services Officers hearing, the LA Chamber hearing, the State Academic Senate plenary. I was part of the panel there with the Chancellor and others, and I will be visiting the North Orange County continuing education folks this coming week and discussing the student success with them. And then I will be on a panel at the Community College League Conference, and have also spent some time in smaller group venues, both at Rio Hondo and Mount Sac and a couple other places. And just the last couple of things, I'll save my comments for the MOU for a little bit later, but the VET Summit is on December 1st and 2nd, as you're all aware of, and I just want to compliment very much the Faculty Association, also Linda Michalowski in the Chancellor's office, and their staffs in putting this together, because it looks really great, and I think it's going to be a very good summit. Great. Thank you.
Before Member Price, speaking of that, everybody is aware that we are meeting, I think it's on November 18th in Jerry at the League Conference. Everybody, please contact in Jerry regarding travel arrangements and all of that. Member Price.
Okay, I have a short report. I have finally got the Student Affairs Committee up and running. We have our first meeting after this meeting at the Chancellor's office today. And the second thing is that yesterday I received my acceptance letter into the nursing school at College of the Desert, and so I will be beginning.
Congratulations.
Member Davis-Lund.
I attended one of the last CPEC events in Sacramento in October, which was quite exciting. One of the most well-developed and successful professional development grants that I've ever seen is something that CPEC was the overseer of, and it was professional development for elementary school teachers in the field of science in rural communities in California. Also, I attended with Board Member Baca the plenary session and heard a well-developed panel discussion with our Chancellor, Barry Russell, Manuel Balca, Jane Patton, and others. The comments were thoughtful. It was a robust discussion which continued on. I attended over 4 hours of faculty discussing the Student Success Task Force. So I am pleased that there have been so many venues for input with this, including online. Thank you.
Great. Member Malumed.
For the past, I should say this past Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I attended the Student Senate General Assembly. And I learned a lot. I met some very nice people and future leaders of our state, hopefully. And they also had me do a discussion, a smaller breakout discussion about the Board of Governors. So I explained a little bit about who we are and answered a lot of questions. So I just want to let you know they ran a great meeting. I have new appreciation for our Vice Chancellor, Michalowski, and President Feliciano. They really do a great job, and a lot got done. So good news to report from there. Thank you.
Member Berg.
I will be brief since I'm brand new, but sorry. I'll be brief because I'm the new kid on the block. And I spent a lot of my time preparing all of the paperwork for confirmation by the State Senate, which is in and of itself a daunting challenge. And then I've been spending an awful lot of time dealing with the budget challenges at City College of San Francisco. That's, as you all well know, top priority for us at the moment to try to figure out how to get the school's work done with the cuts in the budget. But it's been very encouraging for me to sit in this group and hear the positives. So thank you for that.
Good. The gentleman from Creston, California.
Central Coast. I had the
Henry.
opportunity. Not on?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had the opportunity to participate at the recent Network of California Community College Foundations conference in Anaheim, where I participated on a trustee best practices panel. I also was able very happily to present awards for stellar design at the recent Community College Facilities Coalition conference here in Sacramento. With Fred Harris, in conjunction with that gathering, I participated at a very important meeting of a collaborative of state utility company executives who are exploring opportunities to work with our system and our colleges on utility design best practices, on incentives for energy reduction in cost and use, and training and partnerships involving our faculty and our students that I think is very promising and has been in play for a while, but I think is ready for a next stage of development. I hope to be involved with that group's discussions accordingly. And then finally, just on a note for the future, I regretted that we had to scrap the discussion today on system libraries, owing to the fact that that report was not ready for prime time. But I have had some occasion in the last 6 months to have conversations with Kenley Newfield, who is the director of the California Community College Librarians Association, and Mark Stengel, who in my local area at Cuesta College is the chief of library services. And I would like to signal my strong interest and hopefully gain support from other members of this board to organize some kind of an engagement with them beyond just the reporting of the recent study to talk about the future of libraries within our system. As we saw in the presentation yesterday by the folks from Inkling, this new technology that we're developing, new ways of understanding the teaching practice, cost issues that we're dealing with as a system present whole new opportunities and challenges for us in terms of how we understand the role of libraries and learning centers. And I think it would behoove us to have a discussion about long-term thinking in terms of how this affects facilities, investments in development, how this affects curriculum and teaching. So my great hope is that sometime early in the new year, at one of our meetings, we could have an engagement to start that conversation.
Member McDougall.
Pass.
Member Haley. Member Hawkins.
Thank you. The I would like to echo Barbara Davis-Lyman's comments about the Student Success Task Force. While I have not been able to attend some of the town hall meetings and the like, the amount of vetting that's being done in our system is truly unprecedented, and I want to thank Peter and Jack for spearheading that process. Also, on a more directly related to my position, the applications for Classified Employees of the Year are on the State Chancellor's Office website, and the applications are due to the Chancellor's Office from the districts on March 15th. I would really like to encourage board members. It would be wonderful if we could have hundreds of applications throughout the whole system, but at least one from every district would be a wonderful goal to set. So if you could help out and spread that word, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Member Azumi, you've had quite a number of travels lately.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Yes, I actually did just get back from Qatar in the Persian Gulf. Last week I attended for the whole week the World Education Summit, and I was the guest of the Secretary General of the Association of British Commonwealth Universities at the gala dinner, and we had the honor of having the Queen of Qatar come to greet members of our table, and so that was really quite an experience. Also, too, I had the opportunity to meet a number of great leaders there, including Gordon Brown, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain, and also Charles Clarke, the former Minister of Education of Great Britain. So we had conversations, extremely interesting conversations with these individuals. So it was a great opportunity to talk about the community colleges on a world stage, and it's amazing to see the number of people from different parts of the world who knew about the California community colleges, and who had people that they knew who attended at some of our colleges at one time or another. So that was a great thing to see about our impact worldwide. And so I will also be actually moderating a panel in a couple days at Sacramento City College sponsored by the U.S. Army on education issues and the military, and that panel will also have as a member Barbara Davis-Lyman. So thank you.
Very good. Member Reed.
Yes, I had the opportunity of attending the task force meeting in Fresno for the Central Valley and found a very valuable experience, and I'd like to compliment our coordinator of that program. Eric Skinner and the Chancellor always do an excellent job, but I think it was Amy, I believe, that was the monitor of that, and she just did a wonderful job, and I think she deserves to be complimented. So thank you.
Very good. Okay, that completes our board member reports. Vice Chancellor Michalowski, are you ready?
Good morning, members of the board. I am very pleased with the presentation that we are about to experience and what we are about to do. Secretary Gravitt is on his way here, so I believe he will arrive before I actually get to his introduction. Okay. But I just want to start by saying a word about what this is about and how it came to be. Next to me is Dr. Trevor Albertson, who is Deputy Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs, and he approached Chancellor Scott late this summer and wanted to discuss a partnership between the Chancellor's Office and the Department of Veterans Affairs in order to directly connect veterans as they are exiting active duty with their community college. And so we were very pleased to hear this concept, and my staff, Dean Jeff Spano and Veterans Coordinator Mike Deere, began working with California Department of Veterans Affairs staff and put the frame around a memorandum of understanding that would facilitate this work. The MOU outlines a process by which each of our organizations will be able to share information to help veterans and their family members connect to a California community college, to enroll in our colleges and pursue a career. The responsibilities of the Chancellor's Office under this MOU include providing CalVet with details on the 112 colleges and their respective regions, the appropriate college contacts, and College Veterans Program websites. This will allow service members, veterans, and their family members to be referred directly to colleges by indicating an interest in either on their reintegration form that's given to every exiting member or via a MyCalVet request on the internet. CalVet, in turn, will inform veterans of their surrounding community colleges after they complete a reintegration form. CalVet will contact all veterans who complete the form and, based on their zip code, inform them about their local community colleges, how to apply to those colleges, and ways to use their VA education benefits to pay for it. CalVet will also provide links to our CCC Apply and I Can Afford College websites. I want to invite Trevor to say a few words. Dr. Albertson, as I said, is the Deputy Secretary for Veterans Services, and in that capacity, he oversees and leads the administration of state-mandated veterans benefits, the management of the state veterans cemeteries. He provides assistance in accessing federal veterans benefits and outreach to individuals, groups, and businesses that support veterans. Dr. Albertson served as an active duty Air Force officer for more than 4 years. He was posted to Washington, D.C., where he served as a squadron section commander and as a squadron plans and readiness officer, and also in Colorado, where he served first as an instructor and later as an assistant professor of political science at the U.S. Air Force Academy. Dr. Albertson continues his service as an intelligence officer with the rank of captain in the Air Force Reserve. Prior to his appointment with CalVet, Dr. Albertson served on the staff of Congressman Dennis Cardoza, where he managed the Congressman's Veterans Advisory Council, conducted veteran casework, and served as liaison to the military and veterans community. Dr. Albertson has an impressive academic background in history and international affairs. He received his doctorate from UC Merced and has taught as an adjunct faculty member at Yuba College. Dr. Albertson.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Scott, members of the board, our fine veterans, and other folks in the audience today. I first want to thank Vice Chancellor Michalowski. This would not have happened had it not been for the phenomenal efforts of the California community colleges, the staff there, and obviously the support of boards just like this and Dr. Scott. So thank you all very much, and your efforts are just been wonderful. So thank you, both personally for me and from the department and from California's roughly 2 million veterans. Today, let me make this very clear. This is about helping veterans. Today, now it's on? Hey, check that out. I wasn't checked out on this thing earlier, sorry. Today, let me make this very clear. Today is about helping veterans, and we have found no finer partner than California's community colleges in making that happen. Today's MOU signing takes us one step closer to making reintegration of veterans into California, their community, and their future life a one-step process. Had it not been for your efforts and the interest of folks like Secretary Gravitt and Chancellor Scott in making this happen, I think our veterans would be one step back. So I am going to turn this over to, I believe Linda's going to introduce the Secretary. But again, thank you. Thank you for your efforts, and we look forward to a long and fruitful partnership with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Secretary Gravitt. We are honored to have you here today. Peter James Gravitt was appointed to Governor Brown's cabinet as Secretary of the California Department of Veterans Affairs in April of this year. Major General Gravitt retired with more than 40 years of military service in the U.S. Army and the California National Guard, including 35 in which he was a commissioned officer in the National Guard with service in numerous countries in Central Europe, Western Europe, Asia, and Central America. He served as Commanding General of the 40th Infantry Division from 1999 until 2002. He was then promoted to Major General, becoming the first African American National Guard Division commander in the 225-year history of the National Guard in the United States. This command included an assignment in Kiev, Ukraine, with the Partnership for Peace program. Throughout his career, Major General Gravitt has been presented with more than 20 awards and decorations, including the Distinguished Service Medal and the Legion of Merit. Since leaving active military duty, Secretary Gravitt has been affiliated with the American Legion, AMVETS, the Military Order of World Wars, the Military Officers Association of America, the 9th and 10th Cavalry Association, which is also known as the Buffalo Soldiers, the National Association of Black Military Officers, the National Guard Associations of the United States and California, and numerous other organizations. He also served as president of the Los Angeles Mayor's Veterans Advisory Council. While serving in the National Guard, Secretary Gravitt simultaneously served more than 22 years with the Los Angeles Police Department. He was awarded LAPD's highest award, the Medal of Valor, for saving the life of a teenage boy who was being severely beaten by a mob outside a sporting event at the LA Coliseum. It is an honor to welcome Secretary Peter James Gravitt to formalize a partnership with the California Community Colleges before you today. Secretary Gravitt.
Welcome, Secretary, and if I could ask you to turn on your...
Well, thank you for having me today, Mr. President, and to members of your august body here. Thank you for that kind introduction. A little longer than I would hope it would be, but I'm glad to be here, and also to talk about the reasons that we're here, because my function as the Secretary of the Department is to execute the vision of the governor in creating the Interagency Council on Veterans Affairs. And that mission is to integrate all of state, federal, and local agencies in serving veterans. But this also includes the nonprofit organizations and other organizations in the community, so that we have a focused effort on serving veterans, and we don't have silos that have existed in the past, that we could focus and do all the things in concert. So I'm happy to be here today to actually collaborate with the community colleges and to sign this MOU, because I think you probably know that even though we have California State Universities and universities of California that veterans attend, most veterans start their higher education at community colleges. I'm a product of the community college system myself early in my educational career, so it's important that we have avenues open that veterans can actually walk in and be not hampered by any restrictions and so on and so forth. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to partner with the organization, and all this is about veterans. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd also, Chancellor, did you want to?
If this is my time,
well,
I'll be
let me. I'd also like to welcome and ask to come up. We're very fortunate to have also another secretary here. We have Secretary Karen Baker of California Volunteers. So, Madam Secretary, thank you for coming, and I would ask you also to turn on your mic.
Well, thank you so much, and it's just really a pleasure to be here today. And I'm really here to just salute both the community colleges and obviously Secretary Gravitt for his fine leadership in this arena, especially in honor of our veterans this week. It's just so important to shine a light on this partnership. I know that we're really interested because each year with the AmeriCorps members that serve in our state, we have over 4,000 annually that serve, hundreds of whom are veterans. And this year alone, they will earn $12 million in education awards that can be utilized by the community colleges or any other kind of certification or training program that they may choose to tap. So I just really want you to know that we're part of the Interagency Council. We're very proud of this affiliation and Governor Brown's vision and commitment to really getting our veterans to be able to easily tap the great resource of California community colleges, and just want to salute you both for your efforts.
Great. Secretary Baker, we're delighted that you could could come, and your support means a great deal to us here. Thank you. Chancellor Scott.
Well, I'm, of course, thrilled to be part of this agreement, and thank you, Secretary Gravitt, for coming our way today. You know, educational benefits for veterans is one of the best things that the United States ever did. I happen to have had an older brother who was drafted immediately after World War II, and he got the GI Bill. And there was a study of the GI Bill that said for every dollar that the national government spent on the GI Bill, that they got $10 back in increased taxes as a result of the education of these GIs. Well, we're continuing that tradition now in honoring those veterans, particularly of the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts. We have today in California community colleges in the 2010-11 academic year 45,000 veterans, students in California community colleges. Actually, that's 75% of all veterans in California that are enjoying higher education as a result of these benefits. You can imagine the wonderful skills. Some of these individuals will transfer, others will receive a certificate that will give them job skills that they will use so effectively in their career. So I've actually visited some of the veterans centers in our community colleges, and here's a place where veterans can come together, where they can feel very much at ease, where they can get counseling. Many of them who have, of course, been through some very difficult experiences and yet have come to our community colleges, and we welcome them. And this memorandum of understanding with CalVet will help veterans seamlessly connect with a community college as they return home and face the difficulties of adjustment. So we're very happy to be the place where the veterans come. We incidentally give the veterans priority enrollment in a time when we find that a lot of people can't get into community colleges. Our legislature has actually adopted legislation that says that veterans will have priority enrollment in the community colleges. So we're going to be excited about signing this agreement today. I'm very thankful that you've come our way, and we look forward to a continued relationship between veterans and community colleges.
I know that we have some board members who would like to comment, but I'd like to start with the chair of our Veterans Committee, Member Baca.
Thank you. Secretary Gravitt, thank you for being here today with us, Secretary, as well, for joining us, and thank you for your leadership in this. I think that this relationship between CalVets and the community colleges is one that can only go stronger over time. As the Chancellor was mentioning, we have 47,000 vets enrolled in the community colleges. That number has been growing. I suspect it's going to continue to grow. I'm very proud to say that we have some really outstanding programs on the colleges. We are making some efforts to enhance those that are already strong and maybe initiate some additional services at those maybe where it's just kind of beginning. There are some things that I think the community colleges can do beyond simply providing the educational resources that we do, and I think that we do very well. And that is to be able to partner with those agencies, both private and public, that are already providing services to vets. I think that some of the things that we can do together can only provide greater services for our veterans. Another area is probably the articulation with the military in terms of the MOS or experience that they bring, and be able to maybe focus veterans on those programs that are unique in the career tech area, and be able to place them and therefore give them much greater opportunity in terms of employment in the future in their chosen field. So I'm very happy with this effort, and thank you again, Secretary, for your leadership in doing this, and certainly Linda and your work in there and the Chancellor in making this happen. Thank you again for being here.
Other board members, Member Izumi, another veteran.
Well, I want to just echo what my colleague Manuel Baca just mentioned. One of the other hats I wear is that I'm also the president of the U.S. Army Advisory Board for Northern California, and I want to thank you, Secretary Gravitz, Secretary Baker, and Deputy Secretary, and also Linda Michalowski and our staff for putting this MOU together. And I think that it is a time that it's been well worth waiting for. And thank you so much for your interest in cooperating with the community college system, and I really look forward to this implementation. Thank you.
Are there comments or questions from members? Member Ramos.
Yeah, I'm thrilled by this development as well, and as our Secretary of Leadership may know, and if they don't, I'm happy to report, we've been engaging under Member Baca's leadership and a former member of our board, a number of veterans-focused activities, particularly in the form of summits that we've been putting together to help some of the leadership in our system be more responsive to our former members of the armed forces. And we're having an important summit that's coming up on December the 1st and 2nd that I'm thrilled to see that Secretary Gavitt will be presenting at. This is something that we hope will start an initiative with our corporate sponsors at J.P. Morgan Chase. We're in discussions with them not only about their sponsorship of this important series, but the potential to engage in a fairly significant multi-year initiative targeting our veterans. And in the case that we are as successful as we hope to be in that partnership, it would stand to reason that we would want and need to coordinate very closely with your offices to be sure that we're doing that in a way that is responsive to your agendas as well as ours. So I just want to preview that and invite you to continue to be involved with us as we develop this important initiative. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Vice Chancellor.
Yes, we have 3 students with us today from Sierra College. I'd like to invite them to come and join us here at the table and say a couple of words.
Please.
Okay.
Please introduce yourselves.
All right. Well, you're Andrew. Yes. This is Andrew Nelson. He is a veteran of the Air Force, and he served in Qatar and Afghanistan. And I understand you've been elected president of the student body.
Also correct, yes.
President of the student body at Sierra College.
Okay. Could you turn your mic on, please?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. It's great to see this partnership between the Cal Vets and the chancellors, especially at the community college level. I feel like I can speak on behalf of the veterans at Sierra College and in California that connectivity between students and the veterans programs and our offices on campus and moving forward to matriculate to further our education is greatly needed and appreciated. Thank you.
And to my right is Derek Rose. He is a Navy veteran who served in Bahrain and in the United Arab Republic, Emirates.
Thank you for having me. First of all, it's an absolute honor to be here today and speak on behalf of Sierra College veterans. Just so far, my experience at Sierra College has been absolutely unbelievable. I was blown away by the veterans resource, all the veterans resources that we have over there. It's been absolutely amazing. I was a little unfamiliar on how to go about applying and registering. When I was sitting overseas, I was Googling information on trying to find point of contacts and how to get my education set up as soon as I got out. I've been back since June now, and from the day I walked into Sierra College, I was helped out immediately, and it's just been absolutely amazing, and I look forward to continuing my education and pushing forward. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you.
And then we have Eric Thier, who is also a veteran of the Air Force and also served in Qatar.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's great to see how this all goes. Kind of a little overwhelming, but this is a great experience. Like Derek over here, when I was getting out, they were telling me that I had GI Bill benefits that I could use to go to school. Was not clear on how to use them. Where do I start? What college should I attend? How do I even go about getting into the program for college? And then when I joined Sierra College here, I was met with the Veterans Center, and they were, telling me, okay, this is how you use your benefits, this is how you go to school, let's set you up with a career plan, and it's great. And the idea of what's going on here is just going to make it better. The idea of knowing right when you get out how to get into the college and where you want to go, and it just prepares you so you don't have any of that time in between getting out and starting school that is wasted when you could actually be doing something productive. So I want to thank you all very much for this.
I think I can speak on behalf of all of the board. Thank you, gentlemen, for your service to this country. And we wish you nothing but the best in your higher education career. You guys look great. You're going to do fantastic. Made my day. So, Vice Chancellor, please proceed.
Yes, I want to acknowledge Catherine Morris, who is the director of the Veterans Program at Sierra College. She would have come with the students today, but she is having a veterans event on campus. So I thank her for rounding up these just wonderful examples of our many students.
Yes, Vice Chancellor, if I could interrupt for just a moment here. We do have one speaker who would like to come up. And I think on behalf of the board, also this speaker, Jonathan Lightman from the Faculty Association. Jonathan, I think we want to all thank you and the faculty for your involvement in the veterans issues and your involvement in the summit. You guys have been a huge part of this, and we thank you for your leadership and energy on this issue.
Thank you, President Himmelstein and Board of Governors. Jonathan Lightman on behalf of the Faculty Association of California Community Colleges. I just want to congratulate the board and the chancellor on the MOU, also to say how much we're looking forward to the summit, and to extend the conversation to the faculty and to what we can do in the classroom on behalf of our 45,000 veterans who are enrolled in the California community colleges.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, Vice Chancellor, are you ready to proceed?
Yes. I would appreciate it if Chancellor Scott would come down and join the Secretary and actually execute the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding.
Okay, we'll go over there.
Put some veterans behind you, sir.
Great to see you. Always saw you out there.
I think it's important to point out, I wish previous generations had had something like this.
Right.
We would have been so much farther ahead. And today, both Calvet and the community colleges are fixing something that will make just great strides for everybody.
What you're saying is we're fixing the mistakes we made after the Vietnam War.
We're helping everybody out. Yeah.
We are.
These are the guys that did most of the work.
I'd like to once again thank the Chancellor and his staff for executing this good partnership. Also want to thank all your veterans for your service, the service that you served in your Army here. Thank you for all your service.
Okay. Great to be here.
Thank you.
All right, Secretary. Thanks for coming. All right. Good to see you. All right.
Your choice. That night. I know that's what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that you do. Appreciate it.
But it is a nice city.
I don't know.
I think.
Yeah.
Unless you somebody
No.
else has anything else.
No.
Okay, board members. I see we have no more speakers, correct, and Jerry? Oh, no more speakers. Slip. Any new business? No. Okay. What a delightful way to end the day. Thank you all. Reminders of our
Lunch. More box lunch.
Yeah, reminders of our meeting in San Jose on the 18th, our special board meeting on December 1st. And Jerry, I think we have lunch in the Maddie room for those of us who are making the legislative visits. I think they start at 1 o'clock. Thank you, members, for all your hard work. Meeting adjourned.